Okay, well, I'm trying to explain the dissociative identity disorder to a friend of mine that lives in Iraq and how it differs from schizophrenia. Well, take schizophrenia first. I swear they start talking right when I do. Oh, that's schizophrenic! No. Schizophrenia is a genetic disorder, okay? It differs from dissociative identity disorder because environmental factors do not cause, well, you can't say environmental factors don't cause, but you can say that, God, they're noisy. What? They were making a noise. They weren't making word one till I got out here. It differs from the sense that environmental factors during upbringing, childhood, as far as social interactions, are not the causative factor for schizophrenia. So in other words, if you come from an abusive environment, that is not the cause of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a genetic disorder, okay, completely different. Dissociative identity disorder or / multiple personality disorder is caused by social environmental factors, is one cause. I mean, let's say if you saw a traumatic event, a man got his head cut off. Well, that would qualify as a traumatic psychological experience that, number one, would cause post-traumatic stress disorder in all likelihood. It may not, but more commonly than not, it probably would. So you take that into consideration. And then perhaps it could cause a dissociative identity disorder, perhaps if the abuse was prolonged, or you never know, it just depends on the person. Maybe that would be enough to cause that in someone. And basically the dissociative identity disorder is a disorder that, notice now we got the police sirens going in the background. God, that's fucking annoying. Clearly, can never choose the right moment sometimes. And it seems like whenever you want to say something important, there are 1,000 distractions. Right? Now, where's the tree falling? Okay, I'm waiting for that one next. Okay? Or something else. Somebody's going to walk in front of me and what? So, there's 1,000 distractions in life. And no, I'm not self-centered enough to think that those are because I'm talking. Okay? It's just a point of humor. So, the idea with dissociative identity disorders is that it's caused by extreme psychologically traumatic events, and it is a survival mechanism common to all mankind. It is nature's way of ensuring survival of the species. It is where the primary identity separates or creates other identities to cope with the trauma. Let's say it's child molestation. Every time the child is going to be traumatized or the molester comes near them, then they switch into a different identity to cope with the abuse that's about to happen to them. And that identity incurs the injury so the primary self can continue to function. I mean, this is how amazing our minds are. So, I have been thinking about it, and I know that there are at least two women that I know of for a fact that have this condition. And it's not their fault. They didn't cause this to happen to them. Poor parenting or circumstances where someone harmed them and caused this trauma to them through no fault of their own. It's not their fault. They didn't ask for this to happen to them. So, just like with the genetic disorder of schizophrenia, that person didn't ask for schizophrenia to happen to them either. No more than somebody asks for fucking leukemia or cancer or any other disease, or Lou Gehrig's disease or any other disease, leukemia, anything that is any disease known to man, whether it's genetically acquired or not. Doesn't really matter what the cause is. The person doesn't cause the disease. Unfortunately, there is no one left to deal with it but that person. So the individual has to deal with it and cope with it and find methods to cope with that particular condition without being demonized by society for having that condition, like leprosy. Whereas we know lepers were demonized for having leprosy, shunned by society. And isn't nature beautiful, see? I so much love life. And it's just pretty cool that they don't view me as a threat, obviously. I don't know why they're here, but it's kind of cool, isn't it? They probably thought I had something for them, some food or something. Maybe somebody feeds them every day. I don't know. Either way, it's kind of cool, especially when you're talking about topics like this. So, anyway, I was all over the place in my other video, and I was just thinking out loud and just putting these things out there. And that's why I do this, as a form of processing for myself. So I can throw these things out there and take a look at them and analyze them with a little bit clearer thought and to be logical. And, people suffering from this condition are in all walks of life. Police officers, firefighters, people in government. Fuck, you never know. Maybe even presidents. Who knows? I got to tell you, from some of the evidence that I've seen, I would certainly come to the conclusion that many within the upper elements of the political world are certainly people that have multiple personalities. Hillary Clinton reminds me of one for sure. Okay, that woman's got a different personality every time the camera turns on. I just can't stand the woman, okay? If you even want to call her that. She doesn't really, she's capable of being a woman, but she's certainly not a woman in my book. Or in any rational adult's book. I see her as a very unhealthy, sick lady. Not just physically ill, obviously she can't even walk straight, but psychologically ill, with surrounding herself with people that are engaged in satanic sacrifices or mock satanic sacrifices, and supporting all kinds of ungodly things. I mean, things that don't promote life. And not to mention just the incongruency of her behavior and her thought processes. And all you have to do is look at those WikiLeaks emails from John Podesta and Huma Abedin and her husband Anthony Weiner. I mean, what the fuck? A name like Anthony Weiner, and the guy likes to flash his cock all over the fucking place. Fuck. You just cannot get any more fucked up than stuff like that. Okay? And it's, and the video with John Podesta and the child that's, wanting to get out of whatever the fuck he's locked up in. And that voice that sounds pretty fucking close to John Podesta to me. Now, you know, the FBI and the CIA have the technology to verify whether or not that is his voice imprint. If it is, you should lock that motherfucker up immediately. I mean, fucking yesterday. But if it is and you're not doing it, you guys are some sick fuckers, okay? You're sick bastards. At least one of you should have the fucking balls or the courage to come forward and say, hey, yeah, we know that it's that motherfucker. We've got his voice analysis right here, and yep, we know it's him. Fact check, it's him. Yep. I don't give a fuck. Leak it. Leak it to the public, assholes. I mean, I don't trust our government because our government isn't trustworthy. So, you know, our government is as MPD and D.I.D as anything I've ever fucking come across in life. So, anyway, you know, this is my follow-up to my other video. This one's a little bit more on a separate path, but, you know, I get caught on these tangents like that when I think about how fucked up our country is and how fucked up our country has always been. And no, I'm not cursing the darkness. No, fuck that. I'm just putting it out there and putting things into perspective. It's reality, folks. And it's not pleasant, but it is reality. And you can keep your head in the sand all you want, but it's not going to change it. The only thing that's going to change it is for people to do something about it. So, get up off your ass and fucking join the rest of us that are at least speaking up about it. That's the first step.